My daughter's car was in the driveway when it shouldn't have been. She'd told me she was at a nursing conference in San Diego. But there it was, her silver Honda, engine still warm with heat rising from the hood in the afternoon sun. Through the front window, I could see movement inside her house. My name is Andrew Miller. I'm 58 years old. And until that moment on a warm February afternoon in Phoenix, I thought I knew my daughter better than anyone in the world. I raised Christine alone after my wife Barbara passed from breast cancer when Christine was just 15. We'd been a team for 18 years. She was my pride and joy, the reason I kept pushing through those dark years after losing Barbara. I'd built a small printing business from nothing, working 70-hour weeks to put Christine through nursing school. 2 years ago, I finally sold that business for $850,000. Combined with my 401k and savings, I was sitting on about $1.2 million. Not bad for a guy who started in a garage with one used printing press. I'd stopped by to drop off some old family photo albums Christine had asked for. She was getting married in 5 months to a man named Jason Reynolds, and she wanted pictures for a memory table at the reception. I was happy for her. Truly. Jason seemed decent enough, a real estate developer with big plans, though something about his too smooth manner had always made me slightly uneasy. But I chalked that up to being an overprotective father. I pulled into the driveway behind Christine's Honda, grabbed the box of albums from the passenger seat, and walked up the front steps. The Arizona sun was warm on my back, typical for mid-February in Phoenix. The curtains were partially open, and as I raised my hand to knock, I caught a glimpse of the dining room table. Everything felt wrong immediately. Spread across the table were documents, legal documents, and in the center, I could clearly see the letterhead from a medical report with my name on it, a cognitive assessment report from a doctor I'd never even heard of, let alone visited. Christine was standing at the table with Jason. They were both leaning over the papers, and Jason was pointing at something with a pen. Christine nodded, then reached for another document from a manila folder. I should have knocked. I should have announced myself. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the intensity of their expressions. Maybe it was the way they kept glancing toward the windows, like they were worried about being seen. Or maybe it was a father's instinct that something was terribly wrong. I stepped back from the door and moved to the side of the window where I could see but couldn't easily be spotted. I pulled out my phone and, hands shaking, started taking pictures through the gap in the curtains. Jason picked up what looked like a medical report. I zoomed in with my camera. Even from this distance, I could make out the header. Cognitive assessment. Andrew Miller. My cognitive assessment. Except I'd never had a cognitive assessment. I'd never even been to Dr. Brian Foster, whose name appeared on the letterhead. My heart was pounding. The box of photo albums slipped from my other hand and hit the porch with a soft thud. I froze. Inside, Christine's head snapped toward the window. I pressed myself against the wall, barely breathing. After what felt like an eternity, I heard her voice, muffled through the glass. "Did you hear something?" "Probably just a bird," Jason replied. "Come on, we need to finish this before your dad gets suspicious. You said he's been asking about the Evergreen Meadows facility." Evergreen Meadows, the assisted living complex on the south side of Phoenix. Christine had mentioned it to me twice in the past month, saying she'd heard good things about it, that some of her patients' families had been happy with the care there. She'd even suggested, casually, that we take a tour together. "Just to see what options are out there, Dad. You know, for down the road." I'd laughed. It off. I was 58, not 88. I still played golf twice a week, ran a small consulting practice helping other business owners, and had a sharper mind than most people half my age. The suggestion had seemed ridiculous. Now it seemed sinister. "He's being stubborn," Christine said. But once we have the POA document signed, it won't matter. We can make the decision for him. POA. Power of attorney. They were trying to get power of attorney over me. And you're sure the dementia diagnosis will hold up? Jason asked. Dr. Foster owes me a favor, Christine replied. The report is dated, official, everything. If anyone questions it, he'll back it up. Says Dad's been showing early signs of cognitive decline for months. I couldn't believe it. My own daughter, the girl I'd raised alone, put through nursing school, supported through every challenge and heartbreak. She was fabricating a dementia diagnosis to take control of my life, my money, my decisions. Once he's in Evergreen Meadows, we'll have full access to the accounts, Jason continued. That $1.2 million plus his Social Security should more than cover the house we want in Scottsdale. And with him in care, we can rent out his place for extra income. The rental market in Arcadia is hot right now. What about the wedding? Christine asked. We'll use some of his money for that too. Might as well do it right. Your dad won't need it where he's going. Those places bill everything to Medicaid anyway once the money runs out. We're actually doing him a favor. He'll get care and we'll get the life we deserve. I couldn't listen anymore. I couldn't breathe. I carefully picked up the box of albums, walked back to my truck as quietly as possible, and drove away. I made it 3 blocks before I had to pull over in a Starbucks parking lot. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the wheel. I sat there for 20 minutes, staring at the photos on my phone. The documents, the fake medical report, the casual cruelty of their conversation, talking about me like I was already gone. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment scheme. This was planned, organized, calculated. My daughter had cultivated a relationship with a doctor willing to falsify records. She'd been researching assisted living facilities. She'd been manipulating me with casual suggestions designed to plant seeds in my mind, making me think it was my own idea. How long had this been going on? The engagement. Jason had proposed 8 months ago. Had this been his plan from the beginning? Or had Christine always been capable of this kind of betrayal? The thought made me sick. I'd spent 18 years protecting her, providing for her, making sure she never wanted for anything. I'd worked myself to exhaustion building that printing business so she could have opportunities I never had. And this was how she repaid that love. By trying to lock me away and steal everything I'd worked for. No, I wouldn't let this happen. I couldn't. I pulled myself together and drove home. My house, in the Arcadia neighborhood, felt different somehow, like I was seeing it through new eyes. This was the house Christine grew up in. Every room held memories of birthday parties, homework sessions at the kitchen table, Barbara reading bedtime stories. And my daughter wanted to rent it out for income while she warehoused me in a nursing home I didn't need. I sat down at my computer and started researching. Elder financial abuse, guardianship fraud, POA manipulation. The stories I found got to me. Apparently, this happened more often than I'd realized. Children stealing from parents, fabricating illnesses, convincing courts their parents were incompetent in order to seize control of assets. Some seniors lost everything and spent their final years locked in facilities they never needed, while their kids spent their money on vacations and cars. But I had one advantage they didn't know about. I knew what they were planning, and I had evidence on my phone. I barely slept that night. The next morning, still angry and determined, I called my golf buddy Ed Bennett. Ed's a retired contractor, 61 years old, with a good head on his shoulders and no tolerance for nonsense. We'd been playing golf together for 5 years, and he'd become one of my closest friends. I told him everything. He listened without interrupting, and when I finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Andy, you need a lawyer. Today. Not your regular guy. Someone who specializes in this stuff. This is serious, I know. My cousin went through something similar a few years back. His son-in-law tried to get guardianship, claimed my cousin had Alzheimer's. It was all garbage, but it took 6 months and $30,000 in legal fees to fight it off. You need to get ahead of this thing now. Ed gave me the name of Karen Sullivan, an elder law attorney who'd helped his cousin. I called her office immediately and got an appointment that afternoon. Karen Sullivan's office was in downtown Phoenix, in a building with a view of the desert mountains. She was in her early 50s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor that I appreciated immediately. I showed her the photos, played the audio recording I'd managed to capture through the window, and explained everything. She listened without interrupting, her expression growing more serious with each detail. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. "Mr. Miller, this is attempted fraud, forgery, and quite possibly criminal elder abuse. Your daughter and her fiancé could face serious charges." "I don't want to send my daughter to jail," I said. My voice cracked a little. "I just want to protect myself. I want this to stop. I understand. But you need to understand the severity of what they're attempting. If they'd succeeded in getting POA through fraudulent means, they could have drained your accounts, sold your home, and there would have been very little you could do about it from inside a locked memory care unit. I've seen it happen." The words hit me hard. She was right. If Christine had convinced a court I was incompetent, if she'd had me committed based on fake medical evidence, I could have lost everything. My freedom, my home, my dignity, my future. "What do I do?" I asked. Karen leaned forward. "All business now. First, we document everything. You're going to get an actual cognitive assessment from a reputable physician. We'll establish definitively that you're of sound mind. Second, we'll update your legal documents to ensure Christine has no access or authority. Third, we'll gather more evidence if possible. And fourth, we'll decide how to confront this." She laid out the plan step by step, and I felt my confidence returning. I wasn't helpless. I could fight back. Over the next 3 weeks, I followed Karen's instructions to the letter. First, I underwent a comprehensive cognitive evaluation at the Mayo Clinic in Scottsdale. The neuropsychologist, Dr. George Hughes, was thorough and professional. He put me through hours of tests, memory exercises where I had to recall lists of words, problem-solving puzzles, language assessments, attention span tests. Every aspect of cognitive function was measured and documented. Some of the tests were actually challenging, which I appreciated. They weren't treating me like a child. Dr. Hughes pushed me, tested my limits, made sure the results would be unquestionable. The results came back exactly as I knew they would. Completely normal for someone my age. In fact, Dr. Hughes noted my scores were in the 87th percentile for my demographic. I had no signs of dementia, Alzheimer's, or any cognitive impairment whatsoever. He even wrote a detailed report stating that I showed excellent cognitive function with no indicators of decline. I also visited my regular doctor, Dr. Sarah Mitchell, who'd been my physician for 15 years. She documented my excellent physical health. Blood pressure normal, cholesterol good, no medications except the occasional aspirin. She wrote in her report that I was in exceptional health for his age, with no concerns regarding mental or physical capacity. Armed with this documentation, Karen and I updated all my legal paperwork. I created a new will, designated Ed Bennett as my healthcare proxy, and set up my bank accounts with additional security measures. Most importantly, I explicitly revoked any future claims Christine might make regarding my competency or care. Every document was notarized, filed properly, and backed up in multiple locations. Karen also helped me set up alerts on all my accounts. If anyone tried to access them or make changes, I'd know immediately. Now, Karen said during our final preparation meeting, we need to decide how to confront this. You have enough evidence to go to the police right now. What they've attempted is illegal. I thought about it. Part of me wanted to see them arrested, to watch Jason get what he deserved. But another part of me still hoped there was a daughter I could reach, underneath the greed. I need to talk to her first, I said, face to face. I need to understand how this happened. Karen nodded slowly. I understand, but we do this on your terms, in a controlled environment, with witnesses present. You're not going into this alone. Agreed. When do you want to do this? Soon, I said, before they try to move forward with their plan. Karen pulled out her calendar. How about Friday evening? That gives us time to prepare. I took a deep breath. Let's do it. I called Christine on Thursday evening. My hand was steady now. The anger had crystallized into determination. Hey, Dad, she answered, sounding cheerful, like everything was normal, like she wasn't plotting to steal my life. Christine, I need to talk to you and Jason. Tomorrow night, my place, 6 Swagd. It's important. She hesitated. Dad, tomorrow's not great. We have dinner plans with Jason's business partner and 6 Otway, Christine. Both of you. This isn't negotiable. There was a long pause. I could almost hear her mind working, wondering if I knew something. Is everything okay? We'll talk tomorrow. 6, don't be late. Okay, Dad. We'll be there. I spent Friday preparing. Karen arrived at 5:30 with a colleague from her firm, a younger attorney named David Martinez, who specialized in elder fraud cases. They would be witnesses to the conversation. I also set up my phone to record audio, placed strategically on the bookshelf. Everything needed to be documented. Christine and Jason arrived exactly at 6 Koseum. I watched through the window as they pulled up, saw them exchange a glance before getting out of the car. Jason straightened his tie. Christine checked her reflection in the car window. They were putting on their game faces. Christine's smile faltered the moment she walked in and saw Karen and David sitting in my living room. Dad, what's going on? Who are these people? Sit down, Christine. You too, Jason. They exchanged glances but sat on the couch. I remained standing. Karen's presence gave me strength, reminded me that I was doing the right thing. I'm going to ask you both some questions, I said, keeping my voice level. And I want honest answers. Christine, 3 weeks ago you told me you were going to San Diego for a nursing conference, were you? Her face went pale. Dad, Were you in San Diego, Christine? Yes or no? No, she whispered. Where were you? Silence. She looked at Jason, but he was staring at the floor. I'll tell you where you were. You were here in Phoenix, in your house with Jason, planning how to steal my money and put me in a nursing home I don't need. Jason stood up quickly. Now wait just a minute. Sit down, Karen said sharply. Her voice cut through the room like a knife. Mr. Miller has the floor. You'll get your chance to speak. Jason sat back down slowly, his confident demeanor cracking. I pulled out my phone and placed it on the coffee table between us. I have photos. I have recordings. I have evidence of you two forging medical documents, planning to fraudulently obtain power of attorney, and conspiring to commit elder financial abuse. I swiped through the photos on my phone, holding it up so they could see. The documents on Christine's dining room table. The fake cognitive assessment with my name on it. Dr. Brian Foster's signature. Christine's eyes filled with tears. Dad, you don't understand. Then help me understand. Help me understand how my daughter, the girl I raised alone after your mother died, the girl I put through nursing school working 70-hour weeks, could do this to me. She broke down, sobbing. Jason put his arm around her, but she shrugged it off violently. It was the house, she said through tears. We found this perfect house in Scottsdale. It's our dream home, Dad, but we need a bigger down payment. The market is so competitive. And Jason kept saying it made sense, that you're getting older, that you'll need care eventually. Why not move to Evergreen Meadows now while you can still enjoy it? The equity in your house plus your savings could help us build our life together. He made it sound so reasonable. You think stealing from me is reasonable? I said. You think because I'm 58, I'm disposable? That my life, my autonomy, my future don't matter? It's not stealing, Jason protested, finding his voice again. Eventually, it would all go to Christine anyway. We're just accessing it early. Think of it as an advance on her inheritance. When I die, I said, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. When I die naturally, at the end of a life, I'm still living. Not when you decide I'm too much of an inconvenience. Not when you want a house in Scottsdale. Karen spoke up, her voice professional and cold. Mr. Miller has documentation proving his complete cognitive competency. He underwent comprehensive testing at the Mayo Clinic. Dr. George Hughes certified him as having excellent cognitive function, scoring in the 87th percentile for his age. He's also secured all his legal and financial affairs. You two have no access, no authority, and no recourse. David added, We also have evidence of the fraudulent medical report. Dr. Brian Foster is currently under investigation by the Arizona Medical Board. Jason's face went white. You reported him? I reported a doctor who was falsifying medical records for money, I said. What did you think would happen? Are you going to press charges against us? Jason asked. His voice had lost all its smoothness now. He sounded scared. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. She was broken, crying, mascara running down her face. Part of me wanted to forgive her right then, to pull her into my arms like I had when she was a child and tell her everything would be okay. But another part of me, the part that had been betrayed so fundamentally, couldn't do it. Not yet. Maybe not ever. That depends, I said, on both of you. I laid out the terms. Jason would move out of Christine's house immediately. The engagement was over. Christine would undergo counseling to understand what she'd done and why. She would have no contact with me for at least 6 months. And if either of them ever attempted anything like this again, I would immediately involve the police and pursue full prosecution. You're breaking up with me? Christine asked Jason, her voice small and broken. You don't have a choice in this, I said. He manipulated you. I don't know if this was entirely his idea or if you were equally responsible, but I do know you're not marrying him. Jason stood up. You can't dictate. I can, I said quietly. I have evidence of conspiracy to commit fraud. I have recordings of you planning to lock me in a nursing home to steal my money. I can destroy both your lives with one phone call to the police. So yes, I can dictate terms. The question is whether you're smart enough to take them. He looked at Christine one last time. She was still crying, not looking at him. Then he walked out. Just walked out. Didn't fight for her. Didn't protest. Didn't even say goodbye. The door closed behind him, and we all heard his car start up and drive away. That told me everything I needed to know about his character. He'd been in this for the money, and now that the money was off the table, so was he. Christine collapsed into sobs. Dad, please. I made a terrible mistake. Please don't cut me out of your life. I sat down across from her, suddenly exhausted. The adrenaline that had carried me through the confrontation was draining away, leaving only the hollow ache of betrayal. Christine, you tried to have me declared incompetent. You forged medical documents. You planned to steal my home and my savings. These aren't small mistakes. These are betrayals that cut to the very core of who I thought you were. I know. I know. She was crying so hard she could barely speak. I don't know what I was thinking. Jason was so convincing, and the house was so perfect, and I lost sight of everything, of you, of what you've done for me, of what's right. You need help, I said quietly. Professional help. You need to understand why you thought this was acceptable. and I need time to heal from this. I don't know if our relationship can ever be what it was." She nodded, still crying. "I'll do whatever you want. Counseling, no contact, whatever. Just please don't give up on me completely. I won't press charges," I said. "Not against you. But you need to accept the consequences of your actions. You need to understand that at 58, I'm not old. I'm not a problem to be managed. I'm your father, and I deserve respect and dignity." Karen and David left shortly after, taking statements and ensuring all the documentation was in order. Christine left too, broken and devastated. I sat alone in my quiet house, surrounded by decades of memories, and felt utterly empty. The next few months were hard. I threw myself into my consulting work, helping small business owners plan their exit strategies. I played more golf with Ed and the guys. I took a woodworking class at the community center and built a bookshelf that turned out better than I expected. I kept myself busy, tried not to think about Christine constantly. But of course I did. She was my daughter. That didn't just stop because she'd betrayed me. I learned through Karen that Dr. Brian Foster had been doing this for several people, fabricating diagnoses for a fee. Apparently, Christine wasn't his first victim, or his first accomplice. He lost his medical license and faced criminal charges. I gave a statement to the investigators. Whatever sympathy I might have had for Christine didn't extend to him. He'd been preying on families, enabling financial abuse of vulnerable seniors. He deserved everything he got. Christine started seeing a therapist who specialized in family dynamics and financial abuse. Her therapist even reached out to me once, with Christine's permission, to discuss the situation. Apparently, Christine had been struggling with feelings of inadequacy and financial stress for years, and Jason had exploited those vulnerabilities. He'd made her believe that wealth and status were more important than integrity, that her father's money was somehow already hers to claim. It didn't excuse what she'd done, but it helped me understand. 6 months after that terrible Friday night, Christine called. "Dad, it's me. I know I'm supposed to wait for you to reach out, but I needed to tell you something." "What is it?" "I'm moving to a smaller apartment. I'm selling some things, and I'm going to pay you back. Every dollar I would have taken, I'm going to earn and give back to you. It'll take years, but I'm going to do it. Christine, I don't need... I do. I need to do this. Please, let me." Her voice was different, stronger, more honest than I'd heard in a long time. "Okay," I said, "if that's what you need to do." We started meeting for coffee once a month, short meetings in public places. Slowly, carefully, we began rebuilding something. It would never be what it was. That innocent trust was gone forever. But maybe with time, we could build something new, something more honest. I also started a blog about elder financial abuse. I shared my story, offered resources, connected with other seniors who'd faced similar situations. The response was overwhelming. Hundreds of people reached out with their own stories of children, caregivers, or supposed loved ones who'd tried to exploit them. I gave talks at community centers across Phoenix, wrote articles for AARP magazine, even consulted with Karen's firm on other cases. I turned my pain into purpose. 2 years after that awful day, when I saw those documents on Christine's table, she called me on a Sunday morning. "Dad, would you like to come over for dinner tonight? I'll make Mom's lasagna recipe." I paused. Dinner at her place. That was new. Just us? Just us. I arrived at 6 with a bottle of wine. Her apartment was small but nice, decorated simply. Photos on the walls, including several of Barbara and me from when Christine was young. Seeing them there, displayed prominently, got to me. Dinner was good. The lasagna wasn't quite as good as Barbara's had been, but it was close. We talked about work, about my blog, about her therapy sessions. And then, over coffee, she said something I hadn't expected. "I'm grateful you caught me, Dad. I know that sounds strange, but I am. If you hadn't, I would have destroyed both our lives. I would have become someone I couldn't live with. You gave me a chance to face what I'd become and change it. I almost lost you, I said quietly. If you'd gone through with it, if I'd ended up in that facility, I don't think I could have ever forgiven you. I know. I think about that every day, how close I came to losing you forever. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. Two people rebuilding something precious that had nearly been destroyed. Dad, Christine said finally, when I get married someday, if I get married again, to someone good this time, would you walk me down the aisle? My eyes got wet. I'd be honored. She smiled, and for the first time in 2 years, it was her real smile. My Christine's smile. The little girl who'd held my hand at her mother's funeral. The teenager who'd helped me learn to cook. The daughter I'd raised alone and loved more than life itself. Now, at 60, I look back on those dark days as a turning point. Yes, my daughter betrayed me in the worst possible way. Yes, I nearly lost everything I'd worked for and all my independence. But I also discovered something important. I'm stronger than I thought. At an age when society wants to write people off, I fought back. I protected myself. I refused to be a victim. Age isn't weakness. It's experience, wisdom, resilience. Those extra decades aren't a liability. They're an advantage. And anyone who thinks otherwise, who sees older people as easy targets or obstacles to be removed, they're in for a surprise. Because we're not done yet. Not by a long shot. We built businesses, raised families, survived losses, overcame challenges. We have stories to tell and lessons to share and fight left in us. My daughter learned that the hard way, but she learned it. And now she's teaching other young nurses about elder abuse, about respecting patients' autonomy, about recognizing the warning signs. She's turning her mistake into meaning. As for me, I keep playing golf, keep consulting, keep writing, keep living. Barbara would have wanted that. She used to say, "Andrew, don't you dare let this world convince you you're done before you're actually done. I'm not done, not even close. Here's what I've learned, and what I want every man my age to understand. The greatest threat to your independence isn't age, it's complacency. The moment you stop protecting what you've built, someone will try to take it. Stay sharp, trust your instincts, document everything. And never, ever let anyone convince you that getting older means giving up control of your life. Because the fight to protect your dignity and independence, that's a fight worth having, no matter how old you are.